Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Haley. You guys, it's time. It is time to talk about some fall things. We are going to be talking about my fall eyeshadow palettes. You guys really seem to like my video about neutral palettes for back to school. That video, I got a lot of really sweet comments on that one. And I mentioned in there that I could do one about fall, but it might have some overlap. So I was pulling through my palettes today and some of them are overlapping, but there are actually a good handful that also work for fall that I didn't include in that video. So I'm excited to talk about them. Let's start with the two palettes that are actually on my eyes today. So the first one is Discontinued, but a lot of people still have it, so I still want to talk about it. It is the Tati Beauty palette. Textured Neutrals, Volume 1. This palette is one of my absolute favorites. And I haven't reached for it in a while, to be honest with you, but I pulled it out yesterday and I was like, ooh, I miss this thing. I need to pull into this again. This is so fall to me. I mean, it's crazy. You have got your berry tones here. You have your lighter shades, you've got your oranges, you've got your brown, you can smoke it out here. This palette has a little bit of everything and I freaking love it. Just so you know, for today, what I actually used this for was I used this shade here, which is Aura, the matte shade all over to set the lid. And then I used the shade Soothe, the matte shade in my crease, and this matte shade Ritual in my outer corner. So I actually, to mix it up, used this berry shade, the glittery shade in Poet all over the eye today. And I think it looks really pretty. I really liked the results. Like I said, I did reach into one shade from the next palette that we're going to talk about, but I freaking love it. Every texture in here is amazing. I mean, the mattes blend really well. You got your metallics that are super pretty. You've got the sequin shades that I actually freaking love. When you want just a little bit of oomph without going too, glittery or shimmery, the sequin shades are amazing for that. And then of course, I love the glittery shades too. I have to be in the right mood for them because they're definitely a chunky glitter, but there's a time and place for that. You know what I mean? And today was my time and place. So as you can tell, this is like a perfect fall palette. You could go to a holiday party with it. You could do some cool stuff for Halloween with this. It could be an everyday neutral kind of thing. This is just perfect. And I actually got this for my birthday a couple years ago, and my birthday is this month in September. I'm turning 30, can you believe it? And I think because of that too, it always just makes me think of fall, and I love it. I can't wait to start reaching for this. Again, I can't even remember last time I used it, so I'm really excited. But this, I'd say, if you have this in your collection, it's definitely one of my all-time favorites for fall. So the other one I used is also very much a fall palette. It's beautiful. It's also very expensive. It's the Pat McGrath Divine Rose palette. You can see all my fingerprints on it. It's very well loved, much like that Tati Beauty one. And these shades, I'd always heard about Pat McGrath and I was like, oh my gosh, who would spend that much money on an eyeshadow palette? Apparently me. It's the only one I own, but I freaking love it. The quality on these is amazing. And just look at these tones. This screams very fall to me. You might not immediately think so, but you have those brown tones. I used this shimmery shade here all over the eyes. And you also have some purples in here, which purple to me is also very fall. So you got a good mix in here. You have this really cool duochrome that is like a pinky, but also warm toned brown, orangey. I mean, it's so pretty. And actually, to me, that's perfect for fall. There's those certain pink shades that are kind of like a perfect fall transition. I feel like this one is great for summer into fall because you just got so many different tones in it that you wouldn't think work well together, but they all work so well together. And of course, you have this glitter shade here. This is like the opposite of the Tati Beauty glitter shades. It's very finely milled. This is definitely my favorite glitter shade. I used it on my wedding day all over the eyes and I loved how my makeup turned out that day. I loved my eye makeup. So very different kind of palette, but beautiful, expensive. I would wait for a sale. I didn't wait for a sale because I bought it for myself for my birthday last year, but I love it. And I tend to save it for special occasions, but I really should pull it out more because it is just gorgeous. And I feel like it's really perfect for this time of year too, transitioning from summer into fall. Okay, this next one is a great love of mine that I got last year around the holidays. I got the Tarte Gilded Glamour palette set. So it's 2 palettes, and one of the palettes is perfect for fall. This is the Gilded palette, and I love the quality of these. The mattes blend so well. The shimmers are just beautiful. And look at these shades. I mean, you have a little bit of everything. You have these super orangey tones in the middle that are just super fall. You've got some pinky berry tone shades in there. You've got your browns. It's perfect for this time of year. And it's funny because the Glamour palette, which is the other one, to me is a lot more wintry. So it's kind of cool. It was a great holiday release because you get one that's great for like summer into fall, and then the other one that's really great for winter. You can use palettes whenever you want, but in terms of the tones, these are freaking gorgeous. I love this palette because the packaging is beautiful. The quality is amazing. It's very compact, really compact. And so it would be great for traveling. I actually have to think, I'm in a wedding soon, like within the next 2 weeks, where the one of the colors, the color of my dress is terracotta. And I definitely want to do like a warm toned makeup look, and I'm thinking of filming it, but this is a palette I'm considering for that one because you have so many gorgeous warm toned shades in here. It's just perfect. It is so beautiful, very sparkly. What I love about fall is that even though I live in Hawaii, I've said this in a lot of videos lately, in my mind, I kind of still follow the seasons, and I feel like fall is definitely that time where you're getting into not heavier makeup, but like a little fuller coverage. You're doing a little more on the eyes. And that's what I love about these kind of palettes because there's so much that you can do with them. This was like one of the best purchases that I made last year, and I'm still reaching into these all the time. I love them. All right, this next palette is one that I talked about in that back to school neutrals palette video. It's the Anastasia Soft Glam palette. I couldn't leave this out. I just couldn't. Even though I talked about this in that one, look at this. This is like a fall toned dream, you know? Absolutely beautiful. The star of the show with these to me is the mattes. I think I said that in that video too. They are so pigmented and they are so soft and buttery and blend so well. But I feel like I finally learned how to use these shimmers though. To me, this isn't like a beginner kind of palette. I think you definitely need a little more experience, or at least want to use this to become more experienced for this palette, because the shimmers to me are not super easy to work with. And it's not that they're not good, they are. It's that they're so packed together that they can kind of bunch up if you just go straight from finger to your eyelid. And I always use my fingers. And I don't know if it's going to show up if I swatch it. Yeah, of course it's not going to. But what I've learned with these is that if you swatch it a little bit on your hand first and then go onto the eyelid, the look is perfect. So if you're willing to spend a little bit more time putting on your makeup, which I feel a lot of us are starting in this time of the year, I love this one. And I do love the shimmers. It's just, it took me a little while to figure out how to work with them the best. And I wouldn't necessarily say that this is like a beginner eyeshadow palette. Also, it's very pigmented, and which to me is also not very beginner friendly. I feel like for beginners, at least for me, it was great to start with ones that weren't as pigmented, and then you could build up the pigment yourself instead of starting it with something that's like super pigmented right away, and then it's hard to take away that kind of pigment, you know what I mean? It's not always super easy to blend it, to diffuse it a little bit. But I love this palette. It is such a fall tone dream. You've got your berries. Again, you have those brown tone shades. You got like this dusty rose kind of shade here, which is really pretty. So again, those special pinks that work for that transition from summer into fall. I love this one. It is so good. There's a reason why I have it in that video and this video. I love it. Okay, let's go into another one that was also in that video, but I couldn't leave it out. I saw it too, and I was like, oh, I can't leave this out either. It is the MAC Unfiltered Nudes palette. This is a newer palette to me within the last like 4 or 5 months, and this was also in my back to school video. It is absolutely beautiful. And look at these fall tones. This to me is more of the muted kind of neutral fall tones, whereas those other ones that we just looked at are definitely a lot punchier. These ones I talked about in that back to school video, but these ones are subtle is not quite the right word, but it's the one I'm thinking of like every look with this looks beautiful, but it's not so crazy pigmented that you're gonna have a hard time working with it. Actually, this I feel like is almost the opposite of the Anastasia palette, that a beginner would love this because it's almost like finger paints. Like you could just dip your fingers into everything and blend it out, and it always looks good. I've never used this palette and had it not look good, no matter the shades that I used. I really love this very cool toned gray shade here. It's not necessarily fall, but it's definitely my favorite. It's a metallic shade, but you've got some like mustardy yellows in here. It's definitely pretty, but it's muted enough that like if you don't want a ton of like color, if you like a little bit more of like a neutral muted kind of look, but you still want to be kind of fall, this would be perfect for you because it's just got all the right shades. It blends so well. It's easy to use. It's very compact. Also would be great for traveling. I absolutely love this one. I'm so glad that I bought it. And I'm so glad I gave it another chance because I had my first impression of it and I liked it, but I didn't realize until after I did the makeup look and after the video was over how much I really loved the look. And that's kind of been how it is every time. Like I start to do it and I'm like, yeah, it looks good, but it's not like the most amazing. And then at the end, I'm like, wow, this looks really good. Like it's like the most unsuspecting or maybe unassuming like kind of palette. It's so good. Okay, so this next one is again a fall lover's dream. It is the Morphe Gilded Desert palette. I freaking love this palette. Is this not fall in a palette? Which is crazy because they actually have a palette called Fall Into Fabulous that I also really want to get, and I've wanted it for years. That's supposed to be more of like their fall toned palette. That one has more purples and stuff in it, but this one, you have got some gorgeous fall tones in here. So you've got like your browns, you've got your more like red tones in here too, which also can be very fall. I feel like we don't talk about those enough. You got your more like mustardy yellow kind of shades. You have some cooler toned shades here at the bottom if that's your jam. It's so good. You have so many different options. The mattes blend really well. I love the metallics in here. They are so good. They're so pigmented, but not too pigmented that they're hard to work with. I've owned a couple other Morphe palettes, but they got really old. This is definitely my favorite of the ones that I've owned, but I definitely want that Fall Into Fabulous one. I've wanted it for a long time, so we'll have to see. It was in the Ulta sale, which I think the Ulta sale might still be going on. I don't know if we've reached the Morphe section yet, but you guys, when I tried to buy from the Ulta sale, they wouldn't ship it to Hawaii. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be able to buy anything from the sale, but this is beautiful. A perfect fall kind of palette. Great for a makeup artist, but you know, I feel like everybody says that, and it's like, I am not a makeup artist at all, ever, never. I've completely learned how to do makeup from YouTube, and I love this palette. I like that you have so many different options. And yes, some of them do look the same, but to me, in this palette, there's enough differences that it's like, it's worth it. And they're not very expensive. I feel like it's like $20 for this palette for how many shades you get. That's really good. So if you're looking for a good fall palette and maybe you don't like the berry tones that are in the Fall Into Fabulous one, I would take a look at this one. This one mostly has warm toned neutrals and like different undertones of brown. So I love it. And the last one we're going to be talking about today, I couldn't leave it out of this video, even though I talked about it in my back to school video. It's the Violet Voss Holy Grail palette. And I just can't because it is so fall. So fall. I mean, look at, you got your berry tones here, you got your more orangey here, you got your brown tones kind of in the middle. I just couldn't leave it out. I feel like also such a fall palette. Also just the textures of this one. I mean, it's metallics and it's mattes, but there's something special about the metallics in this one that are just, it's a little bit extra. You know, it's like if you like neutral looks, but you like to amp it up just a little bit, this is perfect for you because it has that little bit of oomph. These metallics are, here, let's see. I'm gonna swatch Cranberry Splash here. There's just something special about them. This is the Cranberry Splash shade. Beautiful. Like, they're just special. It's hard to explain. Like, these kind of metallics are just a little bit more amped up than your everyday neutral kind of palette, and I love it. And the tones are so fall. I just could not help myself. Okay, I think that is everything. Let me know if come winter time you would like me to do a winter one, because I think I could do it. I have some good palettes in mind for winter that are like also a little bit different that you wouldn't necessarily expect for winter. So I'm looking forward to that too. But if you enjoyed this video, I hope that you will subscribe and give it a thumbs up. It does help out my channel a lot. If you've already subscribed, I hope you'll hit the notification bell so you get notified when I upload new videos. And I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. Love you guys. Bye.